recovered money for last administration, and I recovered money for this administration. Now, people don't know this. Let me explain this. Most people may not understand this, but let me explain for Nigerians, because I want the truth to be told, and I want Nigerians to understand the truth and know what is going on in Nigeria. Listen, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm saying the truth. Now, our president, thank God our president stands for the truth. The unfortunate thing is that some people around him, whom he has given trust, are lying to him. This one I can attest to, and I can give you instances, I can give you documentary evidences. People portray themselves as if they are saints around the president. It's a lie, they are not. I recovered first, we recovered as a team, 282 billion naira cash. We recovered, aside from the 282 billion, we were able to bring information and caught 43 pension suspects. 1.6 trillion naira cash, investment, and properties were recovered. Now, they have threatened me, they have threatened my lawyer, they have threatened my brothers, sisters, they have threatened us all that I will be killed. In fact, somebody threatened my family will be annihilated if I go and testify. Now, this issue is, I asked Mr. President specifically, Mr. President, if you really want to know the truth and you want to be fair to the whole nation, give opportunity for everybody to come and present. Hearing, Mr. President, I'm appealing to you, Mr. President. There are so many things people are not telling you. When I get to that public hearing, I will tell you some things that nobody ever told you, Mr. President, because I never had the opportunity to sit down with you. And I'm telling Mr. President, I will give you information and documents that will fetch you over 3 trillion naira now in Nigeria. If I don't do it, Mr. President, give me 9 months. Within the first 3 months, I will show you 1 trillion, just like I showed you 1 trillion in this 2017. I will show you again, and I will show you, and I will show you again.
Well, Maina, and the war against corruption. That's where we're keeping our focus this morning. Let's go to Abuja with Maupe and Nyota for this.
Professor Femi Odekunle joins us right now, and he is a member of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption. Prof, you're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
My pleasure.
You have seen and you have heard all that has been happening concerning the Maina comeback, sack, and then eventual, should we say, runaway again of this man. He's released a video in recent times trying to justify and prove his innocence. What do you make of all that has happened so far in the Maina saga?
Thank you very much. It will be intellectually fraudulent, even for the greatest Buhari apologist, not to admit that what has happened is scandalous and embarrassing to the anti-corruption fight. Even though the PACAC, Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, we've not had a scheduled meeting, and there's been no call for an emergency meeting. But for other members, on which I think we are soulmates on the anti-corruption fight, I feel that we are embarrassed, and because it's a dent on our efforts, our commitment. If these things do occur, particularly following the embarrassment with respect to the case of the SGF, with respect to the case of the DGNIA. So definitely, I, for one, have said it many times. I'm not a member of any party, but I'm a believer in Buhari's leadership. So when these kind of things happen in the administration, it's an embarrassment. And my take on it is that something has to be done to control the damage.
Do you still believe in his leadership? I mean, looking at the instances you have mentioned, which you say are an embarrassment and are scandalous, do you still believe in his leadership, or do you think that that leadership is being demystified? To a certain extent, you could talk about demystification. To a certain extent, you can talk about being diminished. But at the end of the day, you have to realize, number one,
for the anti-corruption fight, I'm not talking about area of governance, progress is being made. Even though when you go by the rate of conviction of high-profile cases, you can poo-poo the fight. But on a daily basis, and other areas of the fight is going on. It's just that this kind of Mainagate saga gives a brush of non-performance or non-effectiveness. And I'm coming, and I must tell you that up to this minute, unlike other regimes, nobody has pointed a direct accusing finger at the person of the president or of the vice president that either they have been given money or they were part of any direct involvement in the looting of the treasury. People have to realize that. I'm agreeing with you. What has happened or what has been happening amounts to an attempt by events not concocted by anybody to demystify his leadership or to diminish the anti-corruption fight. But I'm saying on the other side, you have to notice that at this point in time, no finger has been pointed at either the president or the vice president. And besides that, there's still time to control the damage if the needful will be done, and I hope the needful will be done.
I first of all wanted to take you up on the other areas you say that the government is doing well in the fight against corruption, because for the critics of this government, they believe that these are obvious instances that we can point to, that this entire fight against corruption is a mirage. That's on the one hand. You can respond to that if you please. But then there's also the question of what is currently happening. What part of this entire saga do you feel most scandalized about?
I feel most scandalized about all parts of the saga. And one of the things that is worrisome is this, that we have too much information, contradictory information, but we have no definitive answers to the most pertinent questions. If you look at the dramatis personae, Office of the Head of Service, Ministry of Interior, the Presidency,
the Attorney General.
What?
The Attorney General.
The Attorney. Oh, that's the baba of the situation. Now, the Attorney General. If I can digress for 1 second, you know, on your program about once or twice, I've questioned the commitment of the Attorney General or the Office of the Attorney General to the anti-corruption fight. But that's a matter for another day. Now, so there are these people, you could say they constitute the dramatis personae. Secondly, who, when, who knows what? When did they know it? What action did they take? What action was omitted from being taken? And then at every stage of the saga, from the beginning to the end, what is the volume of the money involved? And at what stage can we say it is 10 billion, it is 50 billion? Because we are having figures bandied all over the place. That is why I say, just by what is happening, since the president and the VP have not been fingered, since there is time to do the needful, I think the damage, of course, definitely there is damage. But I believe that the damage can be controlled if the needful is done right away, promptly, and certainly.
Prof, when you say the damage can be controlled if the needful is done right away, promptly, and certainly, there are those who would say, for instance, the media has it all recorded, Maina claiming that the president approved his meeting with the Attorney General of the Federation and asked that he be reinstated. Is that part of what you think should be looked into?
That would be relevant, but it's not the most relevant.
What do you think?
Definitely. What?
What do you think is the most relevant?
First of all, we want to know whether, for sure, he was reinstated. 2, by who? 3, when? Now, the Attorney General claims the letter never emanated from his office. The head of service, we saw the rowdiness at one of the sessions between him and the chief of staff. The interior claims they are just their master's voice.
Did you think that the choice of words used by the Attorney General is also very interesting, though, when he says that the letter could not have genuinely emanated from my office? Some people might say that it's possible that it did emanate from his office, but that it was not a genuine copy of the letter, or maybe somebody within his office did write that letter, but it did not get his own approval.
My response to that will be two. In very reasonable countries, ministers resign on the basis of the untoward actions of their officers. That's number one. Number two is that if it is true, then what the Attorney General should do is to fish out who wrote that letter and fire him. This is part of the problem we have in this country. It's a matter of this administration. It's a matter of things that are fundamentally wrong, that people stick to offices even when they have done wrong, even though when they learn lessons from other country, that this is the right thing to do. So my response, whether the letter emanated from his office or from him or not, the letter emanated from his office, and he must take responsibility. I am very sure of that. But the history of this country is such that even when people die, the minister sits tight. Let alone a letter emanated or not emanated. I'm not able to say whether it emanated from his under his hand. After all, a lot of letters are written to people on behalf of the minister or the PAMSEC. Do they refuse responsibility and come out and say, well, it could not have emanated from me because I didn't sign a letter? But people sign letters under authority. And that's what I'm saying, that if that happens, there are two possible courses of action. Either you resign for being negligent or for not being hands-on enough in your ministry, or on the other hand, you figure the person in your office who actually sent out the letter. After all, there are records. And take appropriate disciplinary action. And I use the phrases, promptly and certainly.
Promptly and certainly, again, I like that phrase. But let's say this. If the council, I mean the Presidential Advisory Council was going to talk to the